Watch Dogs is a power fantasy that plays wonderfully on current real-world fears about corporate and government surveillance. It does this by putting you on the other side of the public's digital footprint. You play as master hacker Aiden Pierce, a man with access to data on every person in the city. And with this data, you can do as you like. Are you the Dark Knight's Batman, an ultimately benevolent force for justice, using the city's vast surveillance network to fight against crime? Or are you Jigsaw from the Saw franchise, spying on the lives of others, judging them for their failings, and punishing them according to your own twisted moral code? In Watch Dogs, you can be either, or you can be both. All good superheroes, and villains for that matter, need a tragic backstory, and Aiden is no exception. In the game's opening, you learn that he's a criminal, a hacker working to siphon money from Chicago's glitterati in the lobby of an expensive hotel. Naturally, things go wrong, and a shadowy third party puts out a hit on him. The assassins miss Aiden, but kill someone else close to him, setting up Watch Dogs' central theme. How far would you be prepared to go for vengeance? Unfortunately for Aiden's enemies, hackers in Watch Dogs' near-future Chicago can do more than just deface message boards and deliver people unwanted pizzas. Chicago has become the guinea pig city for a control system called CTOS, which networks all the city's security and utilities together. It's the sort of thing you might see proposed in a TED Talk, a city that runs more efficiently, more securely, and without the potential for human error. That is, until a human error like Aiden comes along. As you'll know from the million gameplay trailers, hacking is Aiden's primary weapon against a cadre of crooked cops, criminals, and shady politicians. Most missions will involve hacking something, whether that's as part of reaching the objective or the objective itself. Rather than just shooting or stealthing your way through, hacking gives you some more interesting options, the thinking man's approach to villainy. For example, you can hop on top of a forklift truck while a guard's back is turned and hack it to raise you to the floor above. Or you might watch a guard walk unsuspectingly past a steam pipe, then blow it up in his face. There are enough paths through the mission that it's rare that you're forced to take a life if you don't want to, and hacking gives you plenty of lethal and non-lethal options. But perhaps the most satisfying way of hacking an objective is to do so without entering the mission zone at all. Aiden can tap into cameras, then jump from one to another. So long as you can see the next hackable object, Aiden can bounce from camera to camera like a ghostly digital pinball. Hacking's final and arguably most critical use is while driving. On foot, Aiden is a capable fighter and infiltrator, but maybe half the game is spent on the road, usually chasing or being chased by some combination of gangbangers, cops or fixers, a seemingly infinite supply of gangland assassination squads. Like GTA, the more trouble you cause, the more doggedly your pursuers will chase you, with the police in particular calling in helicopters, spike traps and SWAT teams. If you can break the line of sight and avoid the cops' CTOS scans, you can park your car and switch the engine off in the hope that your enemies will get bored looking for you. But it's very easy to find yourself swamped and unable to break away. As you race after or away from enemies, you'll be prompted to control obstacles as you approach them. Bridges, bollards, traffic lights and so on. Hacking these objects can send other cars crunching painfully to a stop as you speed off to freedom. Timing is crucial, but clicking the right stick will activate a temporary focus mode, giving you precious seconds to plan out your destructive strategy and execute it without careering into a river or accidentally bollarding yourself in the confusion. It's a lot of fun at first, but sadly, the endless pursuits are one of the only parts of Watch Dogs that starts to drag as the game goes on. The number of hacks you can perform is dependent on your smartphone's battery, which is partially used up after each intrusion. Your battery does recharge and can be upgraded as Aiden levels up, but it still takes time, and if you fail to wreck your pursuers with the first charge, chases can turn into repetitive laps of the same block, waiting for a second, third or fourth chance to hit the last bad guy with the same set of raisable bollards. It's not disastrous, but knocking out an enemy that's been obligingly tailing you round and round the block feels a little bit like the Benny Hill show. Aiden also has one-off hacking gadgets. These single-use craftables are dramatically more powerful than his regular arsenal of hacks and aren't cheap to replace, but they are enormous fun. Blackout, for example, kills the power to several city blocks and is perfect for when a chase gets out of hand and you need to slink off down an alley to lose the cops. Jam Communications, which we also know as the No You Bloody Well Don't button, disables all radios in the vicinity, preventing nosy, do-gooder pedestrians from calling the cops and enemies from bringing in reinforcements. Sadly, as with the driving sections, hacking on foot feels a little bit underutilised. You don't have to knock over many gang hideouts before you settle into a pattern. Distract with forklifts, kill with steam pipes, then mop up any stragglers. This sort of gameplay is in Ubisoft's DNA. Emptying gang hideouts has that same satisfying cycle of observing, planning and executing as Far Cry 3's pirate camps did. So it's a shame that barring one brilliantly over-the-top junkyard sequence later in the game, there are almost no great hacking set pieces to break up the bread and butter intrusions. Just a little more variation and imagination would have made Watch Dogs hacking sing. It's worth knowing that you're not forced into hacking all the time though. Watch Dogs has an excellent stealth system that lets Aiden quickly shift between cover, and guards can be easily distracted from their patrols using lures, Metal Gear Solid style speakers that draw nearby guards over with suspicious noises. Sneaking is complemented by Aiden's non-lethal crunch and happy takedowns, which he performs with the sort of casual brutality that would make even Jason Bourne wince. If things do go wrong, Aiden is a dab hand with firearms too. While the game only gave us 2 silenced weapons, the pistol which we used throughout and later a submachine gun, you're spoiled for choice when it comes to noisier boomsticks. One criticism of the combat is that it falls apart quite readily if you decide to run away. The AI enemies aren't really up to snuff. You can jump on a hack train to lose the police almost immediately, and hacking a boat is equally effective. Human enemies are a whole other matter. Watch Dogs multiplayer includes the standard PvP modes you would expect. You can team up with other players to race or battle against other human fixers in a spruced up capture the flag game. These modes are fine and functional. Much more fun is the 1v1 challenge in which your Aiden slips into the game world of another player to pilfer information from their phone. Once you've materialised in another player's game, they'll get an alert that someone is trying to hack them. This begins a tense countdown. The percentage completion of hacks appears on the screen of both the hacker and the hackee, leading to a digital game of cat and mouse as the victim attempts to identify and kill the villain going after his data. The only way to identify the other player is up close with the Profiler app or through their behaviour. This leads to some delightfully fraught moments as the hacker when you'll see this apparent lunatic NPC ricocheting between groups of pedestrians as they try to root you out. But while Watch Dogs multiplayer is its most definably next-gen feature, it's the narrative and characters that make it a must-play. Its story, which even if you ignore the majority of side quests will last you 20 hours plus, is adult and twisted, with the cast of villains and not quite heroes all working their own secretive agendas. Aiden's journey, like Far Cry's Jason Brody before him, is a chain of progressively murkier decisions and justifications, and the game isn't scared to pull you up short from time to time and ask you if you're really comfortable with the man that Aiden is becoming. This makes all the recent internet hand-wringing over resolution and frame rates completely irrelevant. Watch Dogs is smart, punchy, HBO box set-worthy storytelling, spun together with solid stealth, responsive gunplay, and voyeuristic power fantasy. It isn't perfect, and it isn't the graphical supermodel that Ubisoft showed us at the game's announcement, but as the next-gen poster child we were promised, Watch Dogs absolutely delivers.